Started right now. I'm recording. So my name is Frito for CSGO Bet Advice and CSGOStation.com. If you want to see the written version of our bet analysis, you can. That's going to be linked in the description for CSGO Station. A lot of that stuff will be up before these videos are up. In fact, hopefully this video could come up before all these matches are live. But otherwise, I want everyone to introduce themselves quick before we get into it. Obviously, my name is Frito.
My name's Dutchy.
My name's Savix.
Stewie.
Yes.
Awesome. We almost have the full betting team on this video. But starting from the top, unless you want to cover the matches before, again, just bump in whenever you guys want. But otherwise, we're going to do what I had written down. Envious versus G2. A lot of these upset matches or like really highly favored matches, I personally stay away with. Stewie has a big inventory to throw around, but I always get really scared of them. However, I'll say I think G2 is almost fighting into the T1 area, like the bottom T1, along with Mouse, Dignitas, etc. Because G2 almost beat Mouse yesterday, and I don't value Envy that highly. So I think this is one of the biggest margins where the teams are more even than they look when there's a big favor on Envious here at 87%. I'm going to go like maybe $1 or $2 on G2, just a nice low bet. What do you guys think?
Well, G2 are the most inconsistent team in my opinion. Yes, they played up to Mouse yesterday, but then again they were way too close to losing to Tricked, lost first map, and I didn't see the rest of the maps, but they lost first map to Tricked in a best of 3. So, well, they're inconsistent. You might want to bet on them playing like gods for one game, but
It's the same with Envy though.
Envious should take it. It's the best of 3 as well. So
Would you be confident betting on Envious? Confious. I was putting like Envious and Confident together. Would you be confident betting on Envious though, with the fact that they didn't make it out of group stage in Gfinity? They've been kind of flat. I mean, they're definitely better than G2, but I just think the upset factor is higher than 13%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, are you going to bet on Envious?
High. Odds are too high for Envious bet anyway.
So probably skip for most people, unless you have faith in me and bet on G2. But my faith's not that high in G2. It's just enough to put a risky $1 or something on them. All right, TSM versus Dignitas. Dignitas failed me yesterday. I thought they'd get at least more rounds than they did, but they only got 8 rounds each map, as opposed to their 14-16 for 2 map loss the last time these two teams played before yesterday. TSM are clearly top tier 1. Pretty likely that they'll beat Dignitas, but again, I think the upset potential is here that I would skip, personally. What do you guys think?
I mean, Dignitas could have won at least one map yesterday, but they lost a lot of clutch rounds that they should have won.
Okay.
So the score was a bit, messy, I guess.
What do you think, Stewie?
With TSM being arguably the best team right now, and Dignitas not playing that well against them yesterday, and it being a best of 3, TSM bet wouldn't be wrong, but odds are kind of high.
Yeah, but like keep in mind, by 1 percentage point, this is the same odds as Envious G2. And personally, I think TSM over Dignitas is a lot more likely than Envious over G2. Just pointing that out.
Yeah.
Again, it depends what your inventory looks like. If you have a big inventory to throw around and you can chance on a few favorite teams like this with 86%, then you can go at them. But if you don't and you're trying to like build up inventory, you probably want to skip matches like these. Even though 9 times out of 10 they'll win, if you can't spread out your bets on those 9 matches, then you may get burned and then be in a hole. But do you agree with that? I'll take that as a yes. So probably skip for most people, or TSM. Dignitas has a chance. I mean, I would give them maybe 20-30%, somewhere around there. Moving on, I'm going to skip to Mouse unless you have any matches in between that you want to take, Stewie.
I think Peter versus Gplay and Gplay versus Pensive. Gplay have upset potential, it should be at least a 50-50, and they are underdogs right now.
Yeah, by
But-
6%.
Shut up.
So you would take G play in both of those?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now keep in mind, G play lost to Rock when they had 80-something%. That was in our first video that we recorded. They got smashed 2-0, but I ain't even touching these with a 10-foot pole. Put it that way. Stewie's taking G play on both those. Normally, G play has been very good to Stewie. It just so happened that match they were brain dead for whatever reason. Moving on, Mouse versus G2. And by the way, if I didn't mention already, that the written analysis is linked in the description as well for CSGOStation.com for like longer explanations, at least my version of it. Mouse versus G2. It seems like the CSGO Station fanboys have noticed that G2's not as good or inconsistent or whatever, because the last time Mouse and G2 played, it was a lot closer, 50-50 or so. But now they're just like, okay, G2's shit. So 76% is on Mouse. I do think Mouse is 10 to 20% better. I think that is true. However, that still gives G2 quite a possibility to upset this in this best of two. So kind of my strategy is I'm going to go low on G2 on these upsets unless they beat Envious, because if they do, then these sheep are just going to move their bets all the way, over to G2 as well, and this will even out. If it evens out, I'm going on Mouse, but if it stays the way it is, I'm going G2. Thoughts?
Mouse have beat G2 2 times in the last 2 days, haven't they? I think they played 2 times.
I believe, and yesterday I know the match was pretty close.
Yeah.
The rounds are pretty close. It's like
Mouse
16-14.
already- With Mouse already winning twice, like very recently, I'd go with Mouse, no matter the odds, unless it's above 80, then no.
Fair enough. I mean, I get scared with that because you got to think, like, G2 has more to learn than Mouse does, probably. And if they start to figure Mouse out, and if it was that close yesterday, anyway, that's my strategy. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to go down to Navi, unless you want to cover these in between. Nope. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
In shock. I checked them out on HLTV, and I don't know if they have a new roster or something, but they look to have played LGB in March and beat them. Other than that, I don't know who the hell they are. I don't know if you guys do.
They lost, what's it called? Michu or something to Gamers 2 recently.
Okay.
And he was the best player. I don't know if that means anything, but
Yeah, but still, they're playing against NAV, so probably one of the worst NA teams, Navi.
Dutchy likes to bust my balls because I'm a big Navi fan. So he says they're from North America because they have Na in their name. But I think Navi's awesome. However, they have been playing a little inconsistent. So I don't know if that 7% is really accurate. It might be a fun underdog bet. Clearly Navi are better just because they're in Tier 1, and in shock they have to be outside of Tier 1 no matter what, right? There's no way they're even close. But if anybody has, I just thought maybe you guys might have some information that I didn't have. I don't know. I might just banter bet on InShock, put a little small inventory clear bet on them. Dignitas versus G2, unless you want to cover property versus kick. No? Anybody? Going on?
Diggy's better than G2, but G2 has a potential to upset though.
Yeah.
yeah.
The same exact logic I used against Mouse is the same thing here. The odds are about the same. If Envy loses to G2, the odds will probably change, and then I'll change. Do you, Stewie, think Dignitas is different than Mouse in terms of, like, are they better or worse? So does
I
G2
think they are a bit better when they play as they're supposed to play.
I agree with that.
So-
I think Dignitas
And the
better
odds
than
are about
Mouse.
the same, aren't they? So
Mhm.
bet on them would probably be smarter.
Yeah. If I was going to pick one of those teams to beat G2, it would be Dignitas for sure. To have better chances against Dignitas. But all this stuff, they can have one really stellar game against Dignitas, play flat against Mouse, who knows? Like, it can go up and down. But LDLC White versus Space Soldiers. Before we started recording, you guys talked about this. So I have no clue. Go ahead.
I mean, I didn't really mean that much about it. I just checked on HLTV, and Space Soldiers were on 73%, and then 47% here. And I just thought that LDLC White was a better team than them. But I haven't watched Space Soldiers that much, so.
Blue's the better one, right? Or no?
No.
White's the better one?
one.
What do you think, Stewie?
I think that this game is like 65% to LELC White. Not a big lead though, but I think they should take it.
Okay, I'll probably
But
put a
it's a
medium
best of
bet on
one,
them.
so best of one with shite teams not good.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
Yeah.
it's even enough so that if you put like a low bet from your inventory on, you probably won't lose much. And whatever, we're picking LDLC White with a tentative small advantage. Later on tonight, we have a best of one on Mirage between Fnatic and TSM. The odds are very even for this. Personally, though TSM are badass, I think Fnatic have improved from the play that they had against TSM, which, by the way, I picked TSM to beat Fnatic at the Face It LAN when they had like 30% odds. Now everyone's kind of wising up and thinking TSM is better. I think Fnatic is in better form, but it must be noted, Fnatic did lose Mirage to Acer yesterday, which wasn't on CSGO Lounge. It was on the I think ESL or something. It was a best of 3. Fnatic ended up winning that best of 3 though. I checked on HLTV, but Acer won Mirage though. So I don't know if that scares anybody, but it doesn't scare me because I think Fnatic play better against better teams because they just know them better, and who the hell knows what Acer's going to do, right? And they ended up beating them after that anyway.
Yeah, they lost a map against Liquid as well, and like we know Fnatic is 100 times better, not 1,000 times better than Liquid.
Right. I mean, Liquid took a map off a couple teams in Gfinity, but went nowhere, right? They only tied at best. So it's kind of hard to look at those one map offs and think it means something. But does anybody agree with me? Maybe fight for TSM? I think TSM definitely has a chance here. I just think by the margins, Fnatic is a more disciplined, better informed team and will likely win something like 16-12 or something.
Yeah.
I think it's 50-50, just whoever has the better day. I mean, TSM are known for being a good online team, but I don't know. I think it's 50-50.
Not even like another 10% for TSM being Danish, or?
Yeah,
Wow.
of course. But
So it's 60-40 in reality.
yeah.
What do
Right
you think, Stewie?
I'd go with Fnatic to win it again, but best of one against the two best teams in the world will be very even. Fnatic they have more experience like in playing against good teams than TSM have, because TSM have been very fast, got to the top spot.
Yeah,
They've
that's
not
true.
been there for very long.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely. Fnatic has long experience. Like, they wavered a few months ago, or a month or so, when TSM beat them at Face It. They were wavering then. It was just past the patch, changed the meta quite a bit. I think Fnatic took a bit adjusting, but I think they've gotten over all those growing pains of the patch and are on top again. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if TSM won. So a bet either way I would support, but I give Fnatic like 60% likelihood. Do you guys want to do property versus G2? I'm skipping this, unless you say
Me too.
otherwise.
Oh, really? Mm.
All right. Nip versus Virtus Throw on Cevo, which is a best of 2s, annoyingly enough. So, honestly, to me, I think tying out wouldn't be a huge surprise here. But, despite the fact Virtus Pro just lost to HR yesterday, I think VP is better than Nip. I explained this more on CSGOstation.com, but I'll quickly say it here. I think VP is better against teams that are more fluid rather than highly strategy and defensive teams. So like a Fnatic, a TSM, HR plays like that as well, but has less star power, has less like raw ability and skill, as opposed to more fluid teams that just take chances and play a little more loose, like Navi, like Nip. I think VP prefers playing those matchups and will win against Nip here. If any team is going to get a 2-0 here, I think it's going to be Fnatic. But what do you guys think?
Fnatic is the best of one, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Nip. What did I say? I said VIP. I'm talking about VP versus Nip.
VP, yeah.
I don't remember what I said, but I think if any team is going to win 2 maps here, it's going to be VP over Nip. That's what I think, but it's a hard call as well.
Yeah, it's.
These teams, like...
You could almost put a percent on them tying, like 75.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it really depends on the maps. If it's a map like Inferno, like, Nip is probably going to win Inferno against VP easily. Because, I don't know, like, Nip just counters VP when it comes to maps like that. Because VP played as aggressive CT, and Nip just likes to fucking smash the fuck out of them for making mistakes like that. And VP is also one of them teams, like, they play their own strategy, but they don't really adjust their strategy when they're losing massively. They just keep doing it and keep doing it, and Nip will just keep punishing them for it.
That's
so
true.
It's highly likely that it's going to tie. Very likely, yeah.
Nip will favor a more defensive-centered, like, smart map that takes more tactics, which Inferno definitely is, because Inferno punishes your mistakes on both sides of the map very harshly, whereas other maps that are more fluid and, like, even though it's weird because VP apparently hate Dust 2, but before they played it at Gfinity, which team were they up like 7 rounds or something on T side? They played against one top team. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was Nip. But
could have been, yeah.
I think it was, wasn't it, before that? But regardless, a map where they're allowed to kind of throw their weight around and move their, like, be able to take the gunfights where they want them, VP can trounce teams. But if it's a highly strategy, like, nade-centered play that requires more strategy, Nip will prefer that. But regardless, so does anyone want to pick one, or are you just going to say skip because it's too hard to call? Because it's probably going to be a tie anyway, but... No balls. No balls.
I'm going to go Nip because I'm a fanboy, so...
I think I'll give a slight edge to Virtus Pro, so I'll probably bet on them.
All right. That'll be it for me, unless you guys want to do these last 2 that are on the board. Is that a no? All right. Fun times. Fun times. Well, that's been it, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.